Good morning, everyone. Welcome to FYI for your information this morning. It's a beautiful morning. Thursday,
It's
Sherrod.
Thursday already.
Thursday already.
Thursday the
Big
3rd.
day today, but
Right?
we're going
Thursday the 3rd?
Thursday the third.
Yeah.
That is correct. We're having a good time. Thus far for the week, I must
Yeah.
say. I think
Yeah.
we have.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks
well,
to all of you out there.
so
Thanks to
far
you.
so good. Sharon, before we start this program, we're actually going through this book here that you have. Sharon's a big reader, by the way.
I tried.
Sharon has this book, 1001 Quotations to Inspire You Before You Die. So it's a good book. We need to go through these. I think I'm going to bring you a quote before the day is out.
Yep. And Judy, it's so good to see so many folks up early watching us. We see Beatrice Selby is here and Yvonne Rodriguez is here as well. Good to see all of you folks joining us across social media. And we hope that as you guys come on, you share the live stream. As we always say, share the program, share FYI on your social media pages, share it back to WhatsApp if you need to. And as well, we want to see those emojis. We want to see how you guys are waking up. Guys, pull up a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, pull up two slices of bread, a tennis show, whatever you have for breakfast, a little bake, some bacon, salt, fish, and pot bake. However you guys do breakfast, pull up a cup of something with us, a plate of something, and let's talk this morning. Amanza Walton Desir, the member of parliament, is going to be joining us, our colleague. And as you know, Amanza is the Shadow Minister
of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, but she's going to be joining us shortly. So we pulled up a chair for Amanza as well, and we hope that you guys stay with us for the next 45 minutes or so. And we have a couple of things we want to share with you guys, wherever you are joining us from around the world.
That's correct. I'm sure one of the things before we just go into we sometimes we like for the morning to be light, bring you guys some social events and so. But this morning, I think we have a very sad event that happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And sad indeed, and in which I see them right here. Two persons actually perished after a police crash at Mahaica and several injured. This story is very touching, and I would have listened to the young lady when she was in parliament at the youth parliament level, giving her presentation. She was so full of life, and the irony of it, she was speaking about persons being careful on the roadways as the minister of finance that she was portraying there. And now we look today, she's lost her life to a road accident.
And Judy, this is Sharida Prasad and Christopher Bagwandat, again, losing their lives so tragically on the Mahaica Bridge yesterday. I mean, we got some of the videos, some of the scenes there. Really horrific accident by any measure. And our thoughts and prayers go out to their family, their community, and everybody who loved them. Our thoughts and prayers. And we heard there was a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old who were also involved in that accident there. And our thoughts and prayers with all of the persons who were injured in that really terrible accident on the Mahaica Bridge. And I'm looking forward to some additional details as to why they went about this high-speed chase and all of that. Some more details surrounding that. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Shard, when we look at these things and I don't want it to just be a fleeting moment. We need to acknowledge that we need to be careful on the roadways. We don't want to be losing lives, and especially when it comes to the police. I mean, the information that's coming out right now gives us reason to say that the police needs to be very careful and practical when they are on duty and pursuing any case, that whatever they may be doing, you must have care and consideration for persons on the road. It appears as though this was what they were doing, and they were only focused on that, and they really didn't consider and all of the lives and persons that were using the roadway at that said time. So we caution everyone, and this is a very sad moment for the families. And this young lady, she's only 16 years old, full of potential, full of life, human resources. So human resources being it's tragic. We do not want to be depleting our human resource. This is an actual person, actual life was lost, and it could have been avoided, and that is the sad part of it.
And even in that, we are made to understand that there are actual protocols to be followed in a high-speed chase. Again, as Rita said, that you have to exercise so much caution for human lives, other persons using the roadway, for instance, and to take care that in pursuit of a quote unquote a suspect and so on, other persons are not harmed needlessly in that pursuit. And then why were they going after him? What warranted this high speed chase and all of that?
But
Again,
those details,
I'm
but
looking forward to that.
those details are yet to come out, and I haven't. I'm not going to pronounce on anything until I see what the actually coming out of the investigation, because it would be very interesting to know if they were suspecting them of something that required that level of chase or something of that nature. So let's wait and see the details that come out. We're not going to pronounce on it, but as the details come out, we're definitely going to be following up on this story. But in the meanwhile, we express our sincere condolences to the families of Christopher and Sharita. We understand that this is a very difficult time. And for the persons that are injured, there's several persons injured. We wish those persons a speedy recovery, and we just want to not be reporting on things like these moving forward in this month throughout the year. Let us minimize the amount of accidents we have on the roadways.
Yep, I endorse everything you've said. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family who are grieving right now, or a thought for those persons who are still injured. And, as you guys are joining us, we want to say a very good morning to folks like Andrew Cuthbert and Joan Ramosindo. How are you doing? Good to see you, Joan. Joan is a commissioner at local government, and we want to say hello. Thanks for tuning in, Joan. Prince Roger Moore, we see you as well, and Petal Thorne and Orwin Don Cook, all you other fantastic folks like Marilyn King. Thanks for tuning in. Our apologies if we have you guys up early, but this is how things gotta be. We want to make sure that you guys start the day with the right kind of information, and we know how much you guys look forward to the news and information that we curate on your behalf from our end. But I really want to thank all of you guys, because we know lots of us are not always morning people. You got night folks and
I don't think you're a
midnight
morning.
folks.
I don't think Sharon is a morning person. I think he's referring to
I
himself.
know, coming to come, coming to come, coming to come, folks. But again, good to have each and every one of you guys, and we're really privileged that you allow us into a space like this, whether you're at work, you're heading to work, perhaps heading home from the night shift, or perhaps at home trying to start the day. Good to have you here with us. And this seat is not just for our guests. This extra seat is for you as well. You always have a seat at our table, and we really, really are grateful for all of you tuning in. Somebody said something very touching yesterday on social media. They said we have become like family. I like
Ah,
that. I like that.
that
Just
is
remember
true.
that when you're buying Christmas gifts and the kind of party
We're
gifts,
not that type
the
of
kind of
family as
stuff.
yet.
We apparently we is the close. But good to see each and every one of you. We see Wanda Perry Fraser joined us. Alexis Boom. I've never heard a surname Boom, but Alexis Boom and June Hilkin. Is it Skivette Edwards and all you other great folks tuning in? Ensure you share the live stream for us, and you also we want to see those we want to see those emotions out there on social media. So smash that emoji button for us. And as we said, guys, we are going to be joined by Amanda Walton Desir shortly on our program. I'm so looking forward to Amanda being here because she had a very fantastic presentation
Correct.
during the debate of the
Right
national
now,
budget
I think that was the quote that
2022.
came out of that. Right now, we
Yeah,
can do this right now.
yeah, yeah. So we're
Right.
looking forward to talking to Mansell with that and some other things, but some other stuff making the news, Jurita. We did talk about that horrific crash at the Mahika
Yeah.
bridge there, and there is also I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet, but I find myself now following mud water
Oh,
more than before. I found myself following mud water more than before, and there was a video with mud water. As you know, mud water, for those of you who might be now catching up, is a caricature, a cartoon character that touches on every aspect of Guyanese life and personality and politics and social life and all of that in a unique indigenous cartoon form to Guyana. And it seems as though some folks are very curious to know who Mudwater is, because apparently they may or may not have been offended by some of the stuff Mudwater said about them. And so the police got involved and someone was arrested who they purport and alleged to be Mudwater, one Kieran Bruce. And so now, in response to this arrest, Mudwater put out a video recently, and a lot of allegations there. When I when I was finished listening to that, I feel like I need to be sanitized, like you need a spiritual bath. It was that kind of response. Mudwater was angry, folks. That's all I will say. Mudwater was angry.
But Sharon, one of the things that I can say is that a person's listening to it is very because the police reported that they seized all the equipment and this voice changing equipment and so forth from the young man's home, Kieran Bruce.
Yeah.
And they said that they seized all those equipment and so forth. So it was rather strange to see a video coming out day before yesterday, I believe, or yesterday, I can't remember, with the same Mudwater character and the same voice and everything. So it's like if the police have the equipment, then if you say you have the equipment, you have the person that you say should be Mudwater, then what's going on here, Where did this other set of equipment come in
Yeah,
from?
yeah,
Because those
yeah.
things, you can't just go to the store, to the market, to the shop and pick up certain equipment. That's just impossible. So, it leaves more questions than answer. But indeed, I did listen to it, and I must admit that I wasn't someone that would have followed Mudwater recently. I was not following Mudwater like that. However, with everything that has been in the social space and so forth, we have no choice but actually go out there and to catch up with what is going on. That's our responsibility. So I think now Mudwater's got it. I think his fan levels probably doubled because there are more person interested in the story, more person interested in what actually who this character is and the content that the character brings. I find myself looking at things right now about Mudwater that he said since sometime earlier last year, and normally that would not have been. But I did listen to the most recent video that was put out by that page or the character. And what I can say is that I think I had virgin ears because it's like
Yeah, that's why
the
I said,
language,
I think
the
after
language.
listening to Mudwater, I thought about being sanitized and baptized all over and sanctified and so on. But Mudwater in his usual style. But in response to that, journalist, what's the journalist's name again? Leroy Smith. Journalist Leroy
Oh,
Smith was part of, or was one of the persons who had suggested a $1 million
oh.
bounty for anybody who knows the person behind the Mudwater character. And I think that this whole episode of the outing of Mudwater has been taking its toll on Leroy because we saw him in a live yesterday afternoon, and he was talking much like us, because we ordinarily we might have played some of that Mudwater response on the program, but we're trying to change our ways too, and it's early morning and all of that. We want to start the day
No, we
right and
can't
so
do
on.
that this morning. No.
But with that being said, Leroy was out there articulating that he is trying to turn a different leaf and so forth, and he's expanding his business and his brand and so forth, and that I think I thought the way the live was going is that Leroy was going to say that he's not going to pursue charges or anything. I don't know if Leroy's the one bringing the charges against Mudwater, but he was part of
Oh,
the
okay.
persons. I think that $1 million was offered for anybody who knew who Mudwater was. But I thought Leroy was going to say, I'm forgiving Mudwater for past transgressions. Go and sin no more. I thought that's what he was saying.
But no, very, very interestingly, I did note and I read the article about I read what Leroy put out online that was saying that he was offering this money for persons that knew the identity of this Mudwater character, right? And instinctively before even the arrest was even made, when I saw that, I said, you know what, this is not going to end nicely. You don't go down a certain road. You did communication studies at university,
Yeah.
and you know that when the
Thankfully.
more light you shed on these matters, the more it blows out of proportion, and you don't really have control of the direction that these things take. When you put it out into the public domain, sometimes it's well received by the public, sometimes the public say, oh, you know what, Leroy is right for putting this out like this. But then I think when it went out, I think I saw like this whole surrounding support for this Mudwater characters. I guess it didn't want to go in the direction that he wanted it to go in. But what I can say is that I'm sure, like you, for example, you take a lot of hard hits online, like Persons,
Nature the business. Nature the business.
they come for you.
Nature the
They
business.
come for you. And the more you're out there, Leroy is somebody that is out there. He does his work and he's out there all the time. So when you're in those kind of business, like it comes with the territory. Once you come out, but sure, if I'm on this program 2 3 days, at the end of it, somebody's going to say something very nasty about me. Yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it happens. It's
It comes.
just so
It comes.
it just
But
whatever.
in communication, there's the adage that no PR is bad PR.
Embrace it,
No
right?
PR, embrace
Embrace
it,
it, embrace it.
embrace it and move on. No PR is bad PR. You're talking about that, and I'm thinking, I thought this blind was green at the back here, but I think it's actually teal. It just goes to show that men don't know colors because I could swear it was green, but now the light is thinking it differently. I think it's teal.
Oh my gosh, sure.
Just tell how you talk with me, right? So I think about teal in the back.
So persons don't know this. I'm gonna be speaking some of your business online this morning. Persons don't know this, but Sharon Duncan has OCD. He has severe OCD when it comes to having everything in order. He's very particular with the way which everything is put. The sharpness of every single thing.
Everything has a place, and I was just thinking. I was looking in the mountain in front of us, and I'm seeing the cookie jar in the back, and I'm thinking that's steel, and it looks close to the blind. I don't know. I don't know. So, folks, that being said, we honestly wish Leroy and his endeavors all the best, his business, and wish him good success. I'm happy to hear all of his accomplishments and that ride he had last evening, and all the things he hopes to accomplish, and we wish him the best, and we wish that. I don't think there's any other way to say it. Free mud water.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a position that I support too. I support a position like I understand where Leroy is coming from. I understand we're human beings. We have feelings, we have emotions, and sometimes things can get under our skin. But at this point in time, I would just like to say sometimes you have to demonstrate a different type of strength when you're in this business of professionalism and you're elevating yourself, you're building. Just go on. Don't let these other things become. I think you had said it best. Well, not on this case, but you had said it previously that in journalism you will learn that you deliver the news. You just don't become the news.
Yeah.
So we don't want persons to go in that direction. Journalism, I respect good journalists like throughout. I think it's a profession that we need. I think we need excellent journalists, more of them all over the place. So I wish Leroy all the best. I think that this was a learning curve altogether for everybody. The whole mud water character and whoever's behind that character also, that you be a little more careful and considerate and whatever. But both of them, Mudwater have his place in society, and Leroy have his place in society. They do contrary things, and like it or not, they're both going to have supporters. Like it or not, they're both going to have haters. But they have claimed their own space, and we respect those spaces. We, in our own, we try to claim our own space as well. So,
Yeah. And that being said, when I was an undergraduate doing law, a colleague of mine said something that has stuck with me these many years later. She said, "Critics make the world a better place." Critics, not.
thank you, Sharon. Let us qualify that statement.
That being said, I just sipping my tea here, my
Let
no
us
business.
qualify that statement. I don't think he meant it in terms of an individual, but having critics, person to just critique what you say
You're the
in the
economist.
most
You're the economist.
constructive of manner. I think that's what you meant.
Yes.
I was hoping that that's what
Guided.
you meant, because I would not be inclined to support
Guided
any
by
other
that. Guided by
interpretation.
that. Folks, I hope you guys are benefiting from the weather forecast and the currency exchange and all of those other stuff we're going to be sharing with you guys. But in addition to mud water, it seems there was some mud water at the courts quite recently as well, because Darren Wade won another case yesterday against the Attorney General. I don't know if the Attorney General Anil Nandlal has won anything as yet since he became Attorney General. And he always seems to be going up against Attorney at Law Darren Wade, and a Shobi case. The shortened name of the case is Ashrobi, came up for hearing yesterday, and not yesterday in particular, but during the course of the last few weeks. And Darren Wade again won at the the High Court level. And so part of the contention was that Anil won the case, that the AG's office won the case.
Ah.
And that is how really and truly this case made the headlines, because what actually happened, Darren had appealed, attorney at law Darren Wade had appealed the judgment.
Ah.
The High Court had given a judgment of $100,000, and that was appealed. And when it went to the appeals court, they threw out the appeal, and so the judgment of the High Court stands on the appeal.
Oh,
but the
gotcha.
Attorney General's office had said that the case was thrown out and not the appeal of the sum
Okay.
that was granted for the original case. And so yet another case, Darren Wade won. And so kudos to Darren out there on the forefront. And we love when young people are doing well. We love when young people are doing well. And I have followed Darren for a long time. And those of you who joined our podcast maybe a couple of days ago, I was telling him, he was our guest on our podcast, Below the Bell, that comes on at 12 o'clock daily right here, that Darren was, I think, my senior in the undergraduate communication studies at university.
Okay.
We walked that path, and then he went off to do law. And I was the year after him, and I remember seeing him on the catwalk one day, being all friendly with the opposite gender, but always very friendly.
Darren's wife is watching. Good morning to Darren's wife.
But let me qualify then. Let me qualify. Not always friendly. Back in those days, he was very, very friendly.
Not being very nice.
Very, very friendly. And
he was
I
a
remember,
nice personality. He was
hold on,
considerate. These are the things that
I think we kind of losing focus. So I was asking Darren about the GPA to get into law. That's the point. That's the point I really want to make.
Yes, let's go to this.
And he was saying it's 2.8 GPA and higher. And that said to me, you know what? You can work towards this thing. And I took that as encouragement, and I started to build up my GPA. I was actually never concerned about GPA in university. If I pass the course, fair enough. I good. But people had a calculator, and this thing gotta be. I wasn't in that band. Once I passed the course, I good. But from that day, I got very, very particular about my GPA. And long story short, ended up doing law afterwards and all of that. But much thanks to Darren, because if I hadn't seen him on the catwalk that very day, being friendly with the other gender and so on, I might not have reached out to him and say,
being kind and caring.
You see, the moral of this story is when you're friendly with the other gender, you don't know who you might be impacting. That could be one more moral of the story. One moral of the story. But
I want to add to that. Let me add to Darren.
The other gender part or the court?
The only other gender I know about Darren is his wife, his dear wife.
I thought you could be a mudwater now and try to out people and
No. But I have to say about Darren, because we all were in university together. We can qualify each other's statements about our university experience. Unlike a lot of people.
Yeah. And we didn't drop out. We finished. We didn't drop out. We qualified and graduated.
We were all in university together, so I would have done some courses with Darren, and Darren always have this way about it. He's pushing, he wants to accomplish. And right now we have seen that manifest itself right now more than ever, because Darren is out there. And if you are taking notice and paying attention to the cases that he is actually going to court with, a lot of those cases is things that he holds dear to his heart, things that like he believes is his moral obligation to actually go out there and defend these people. And we saw that with the Haitians when he felt it. I remember looking at that live that Darren did when he was there with the Haitians, and he felt it to his core. And I always say that good is always rewarded, and evil and bad is always punished. And we see Darren's good being rewarded tremendously. He's a very smart young man. And when he combined being smart with actually caring about people, you see it manifest
Yeah,
itself in a way in
yeah,
which that he's going up against the attorney general of the country and coming out victorious. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it says a lot
And it's
about
getting
character.
little old, you know. He get a little slow too.
No, but
There's
it says a
that
lot about character altogether. Have that character that when you go out there, you should be proud of yourself and what you represent. Persons will see it manifest itself in your job, and you'll be that shining example. Like take a pattern from Darwin. Be a
Yeah,
Darwin this
yeah,
morning.
yeah, yeah. And you know what the other maxim I drew from what you said is that when you love what you do,
Yeah.
you never work a day in your life. And
Well,
Darren truly loves
very true.
what he does. Truly, you know, we have to have Darren on this program one morning. One good
Definitely.
morning. That said, folks. The other issue we want to touch on, I saw GKH Lal with a letter in today's press, and he's saying that the Ram and McCray budget focus, you know, they've been doing this budget focus supplement and analysis for about 32 years now. He said it has become an institution. This is GKH Lal, who himself had some very, we have a lot of creaking here, folks, in the studio, a lot of creaking. It sounds like an oven door being pulled. But that being said, this analysis that is done on a yearly basis on the national budget, GKH Lal, who writes for, I think, Kaicho News and for Demar Waves, says that it has become an institution. I only pointed out that because Raman McRae had some, in this budget focus, had some very, very strong comments on this 2022 budget. And we've said it in other programs that, you know, when we come on here, people would only see, some folks would only see APNU AFC parliamentarians.
Yeah.
They would never see two citizens, Sharon and Drita, with a morning show called FYI. They paint you, APNU AFC. That's all we'll be painted on by or with for the rest of our lives. APNU AFC parliamentarians, and so they dismiss you on that basis. But Ram and McCray is independent. And we hope that because Ram and McCray says some things that doesn't favor the administration, they're not painted to, oh, they're oppositional. We gotta come past that. We gotta come past that. But if the criticisms are constructive, then take it like good medicine. And so again, GKH Lal saying that Ram and McCray has become an institution, and Ram and McCray, again, one of the things they flag, they say the private sector has an unhealthy relationship with the government because lots of institutions, not only on this basis, but lots of institutions made recommendations for budget 2020 about the direction they should be going with policy-wise and where we should be spending our oil resources, but only private sector seems to have gotten through, according to Raman McCray.
But we can speak, and I can say personally when it comes to Raman McCray, this is not something that they started now when PP took office in 2020. Like Shed rightly said, they've been doing this for over 30 years. These are professionals in their own right. You know, they have been doing this when the coalition was in office, and not once did I ever come out and critique or criticize what they're doing because these are the professionals. You know, they go down and they crunch these numbers, and we embrace that type of criticism.
Yeah.
Right. So when they come out now and they're doing the same thing that they were doing prior, you know, it's very it's very insightful to say the least. And what they're saying there, what Ram McCray is saying there, they are just actually pulling the details out, pulling the numbers out, and saying, well, this is the evidence to what the entire country has been saying for a while. You know, everyone says the government and the private sector have an unhealthy relationship. We say it, the citizens say it. Now we have the experts coming out and say after they have dissected this budget and after they have looked at the details within the budget, then the verdict is out. Yes.
And you know, as our parliamentary colleague on the other side said recently, and her name is slipping me. The numbers don't lie. He said. Yvonne Pearson.
Yes.
MP Yvonne Pearson from the government benches said that the numbers don't lie. So the Rama McCray, the numbers. But I really want to say thanks to that team, whoever that team, the composition, whoever composes that team at Ram and McCray for this budget analysis, because I look forward to it now on a yearly basis. And you know what I think they should do? My humble recommendation to the team is to compile the years.
Yeah, they can
compile the years.
Yes, they can actually do analysis and stretch across the years. And so, but I think that particular team from Rama McCray, like they should have segments in which they come and do discussions with the public. But I think that's probably asking for a
Well,
little
the other
too
thing too,
much
I
with
think they would start attacking all the individuals.
yeah, move it from the issue and
Yeah,
move to the
yeah.
individual. Well, you have a point there. You have a
That's
point
another
there.
story. But that being said, folks, that being said, our guest has just arrived in the studio, and while she powders her nose and so on, we are going to have, and I think she's ready. Come through. We don't have a lot of formality here. Welcome to our humble kitchen. You can hear the cheers dragging and so on. Welcome to our kitchen. Come on. Give us a big squeeze. Give us a big squeeze. We don't have a lot of formality here.
Wow, this
Welcome.
is nice.
Look who's here, folks. Look who showed up for breakfast. Mansa, how are you doing? Good. Let me try to share some of my audio.
Amanda's glowing this morning. You know, Amanda seems to be a morning person.
Yeah. Mansa, how do you do breakfast and so on in the morning?
I am not a breakfast person.
You aren't?
It's the most unhealthy habit I know, but I'm not a breakfast
But do you do
person.
tea and coffee?
I do maybe a cup of tea and that's about
Well,
it.
Sherrod,
I can't eat anything solid before 10 o'clock.
You know, we're asking
Use them
this.
bad name, children.
We're asking
Them bad names,
these important questions because in the very first show that we had, Sherrod went out on Tuesday and announced to the public that he's hungry. So,
Use them bad names.
Y'all are talking there, and I'm thinking about, did I buckle up my pants? Did I get up? Did I buckle it up? Oh my.
No,
Amansa,
Mansa.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I like
welcome.
this.
I think you are our
this.
first guest
Whoa.
in this new set.
Yes.
And when we did the new studio
I
too
was the first.
in the ring, you were the first. You were always the first.
Trend.
We gotta keep this up. We gotta keep it. Guys who are now joining us, who've been with us. If you haven't had a chance to share the program, I said, please do that. Share the program. We want to see those emojis as well. How are you guys feeling this morning? How are you guys waking up? Again, we're privileged to have with us the Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Amanda had a brilliant presentation during the course of the week.
I saw segments of that presentation being circulating widely. I can't miss it. You know, I'm on Facebook. Persons are sharing it there. I'm on WhatsApp. Persons are sharing it there. And you know, the public identify with what you were saying.
Good morning, beautiful Amanda.
Good morning, Lynetta.
You know, people don't know how difficult it is for Cheryl to actually call names, you know, until you are here sitting beside him and you see the rapidness of
Brenda
his names
Chaharali.
going up, then you realize Cheryl is
Brenda. I know Miss Brenda.
Good to see you guys. Share the live program, smash that emoji button, pull up a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever you guys have in the morning. If you're like Amanda, you have nothing to do, you just come. You're welcome around our table every morning. Amanda, I think we have some of that presentation that you did in Parliament. And I think resonated with a lot of people because, you know, they don't feel as though the budget addresses their needs. And I hope the guys at the back have that set up for us. And we're going to take a look and we're going to be right back on the other end.
If we could minimize, if we could prevent, let me say 50% of this wastage by doing a proper adjustment and coming to this house with a more realistic figure. Mr. Speaker, if we are to take $36 billion, which represents, sir, a 6.5% of this budget, 6.5%. Mr. Speaker, this is what we can do with this $36 billion. We can give the 50,000 public servants a pay raise of 10% right now. We can provide tuition, free tuition for 11,000 university students right now. Mr. Speaker, we could give the 9,000 plus health workers an average of a $250,000 bonus right now. Mr. Speaker, we can raise the income tax threshold to 100%. To $100,000 rather, right now. Mr. Speaker, we can increase the old age pension to $35,000 a month for the 65,000 senior citizens right now. Mr. Speaker, we can allocate a $3.5 billion allocation on technical and vocational and educational training. Mr. Speaker, we could provide $2 million in business grants to 2,000 qualified small businesses right now, Mr. Speaker. And guess what we could do, Mr. Speaker? We could spend $1.3 billion to upskill those 5,000 plus sugar workers, to train them for a future beyond sugar, instead of keeping them tied and tethered to an industry that you yourself came to this house and said is failing. That is what we could do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all of this could be done right now, and CapEx would still stand at 75%.
Right now.
Right now,
Right now,
Amanza.
Manzo fixing some tea. Right now. You know, Amanza is them people that come by your house the first time they're your cupboard. First time they come by your house, they're your cupboard. They ain't easy. So you are good there?
I'm good. Very good.
Yeah. So guys, again, that was the presentation that if the government would take just part of this budget, how many problems could solve right now, Mansa? Right now. The numbers don't lie.
It is the most disgusting thing. It is the most disgusting thing. And I use the percentage, well, prior to that, what I had said, prior to that insert, is that because the IMF says that our efficiency gap is 41%, meaning that for every $1 million we spend on a bridge, 410,000 is wasted on corruption, kickbacks,
Wow.
inefficiencies.
They don't like to hear numbers,
No,
Manzo.
they don't like to hear
I don't
numbers.
think some persons appreciated my numbers yesterday.
No, they didn't. They didn't. And so when you look at the wastage of 89 billion, if we take half of the body, that's what we could do for Guyanese.
Yeah. And
Just reduce the capex, and it will still be 75%. Now, Joretta, a capex program of 75% greater than last year is still big things. So
Amanda,
it's about where you spend your money.
I feel a little attacked because you say Joretta as
Yeah, you know to Sharon. All right.
Let's not make Sharon
And
angry.
Amanda will say, hold the focus, Sharon. Hold the focus. But that is interesting that if we just tweak things a little bit, how much more can be done. It's the biggest budget ever, but yet a lot of problems will not be solved. And that is tremendously tragic about this budget process. Very, very, very tragic.
I think the cartoon and the paper, Sharon, I don't know if you have it with you. Is it this one or the other one that actually...
Very
yeah, I think it's right here. I saw the cartoon in this paper this morning. And I think it was depicting very accurately how persons feel. And it says, this is Harris. And it says here, Finance, Mr. Finance Minister, why the long face? You have the cartoon depicted Ashley Singh here. And he said, alas, Justin, my friend, I am undone, reduced to be an assistant. It is depressing. So Justin is saying, you're depressed? Justin said, take a look at this pension increase, and we...
Yep.
Mr. Minister,
The people
you
depressed as well.
And he's showing
$100 Guyana per day is the equivalent of what they've given pension.
Yes, and then how could you be depressed? Like this week, we biggest budget ever.
Life on the dam. But in Juita's presentation too, just yesterday, Juita pointed out that lots of the projections that they made in the last biggest budget ever were not realized. And so some of these grandiose projections, right? Lots of the projections they're coming with now. Chances are, based on current trend, a good predictor of future behaviors, past behavior, will not be had also. And I think we have some of those figures as well we want to share with you in some of the sectors that were not had. So could we pull up some of the figures in the sectors? The projection and what the reality was as of this budget here. So bring it up on full screen for us. Good. And so we say it's bad for business. This was just a snapshot of the economy under the PPP. And let's take the first one. This is how that looked like. This is what that looked like. So this is the non-oil GP, and this is what you pointed out. The projection was 6.10%. 6.1%. Yeah, 6.1%. And then the actual was 4.6.
Yes. And this was and I pointed out and this is what I want persons to understand. We had a growth in 2019. We got to this level in 2019. In 2020 now, you came, and in 2020, Ashley Singh right there, he reported that in 2020, figure was actually a contraction of 7.3%, right? So he came and he did this projection that said, in 2021, the economy is the non-oil. We're speaking about a non-oil economy because in 2019, you would know that the coalition did not have any oil figures to deal with at that point, right? So we can't compare oil economy, oil growth, that GDP. We have to compare the non-oil. And the non-oil growth, he projected that it would have been 6.1%. He basically was saying that it would not have recovered from that 2020 failure, that 2020 contraction of 7.3, but he projected that it would have come up to a point of 6.1. But then he came to the National Assembly last week and he said, no, they failed to meet that target. And they actually got to a target of 4.6.
Yeah.
So I did make the point yesterday and I said, I'm rather suspicious that they're going for the hat trick of three failed accomplishments.
So that was an F. And we have another one as well. We have another sector in which there was a projection, and what they met in 2020 is this sugar. We're going to look at sugar. The projection for sugar, rather, in this case, in 2020,
Yes.
the volume of sugar produced was 87,000 tons of sugar. But then in 2021, they were only able to make 58,000 tons, and they wanted to make sugar great again.
And I'm actually happy that you're going with the actual number of the sugar production. This is a sugar growing subsector, right? This is a sugar growing. This is the raw numbers. So a lot of times you come with a percentage, and so people don't really get it. But this is the actual number. 87,875. That was the 2020 production level. 2020, the PPP took over in 2020 in August. All right. Now 2021 was their first complete year in office, right? They had from the 1st of January to the 31st. They had the entire year in 2021. And they said that they were better at dealing with sugar. They said they were the experts at dealing with sugar. But look at the production level for sugar in 2021.
Yep. There we are. I think we have another subsector as well. Let's take a look at those numbers, the projection, and what was operational. I think we look at bauxite now. What was the projection and what was had? The projection was 18.4, and the actuality or the actual was 3.8.
Well, Sherrod,
Wow.
when you make a projection of 18.4% in bauxite, I mean, you say it because you're trying to attract attention and a little credit in a certain section of society. But then when you went ahead and you didn't,
Rashni,
and you didn't do anything that is geared at actually reaching that target, you have the actual. And what is the actual there? Sherrod, you have a decrease. A decrease. You didn't even increase by 1%.
Yeah.
You had a decrease of 3.8%.
Yeah.
Those are the experts. Those are the people that says we know and the coalition don't know. That's what they have delivered.
And which is the next one we have? Let's take the other one right away. The other one we have is, oh my Lord, ouch.
Inflation.
Ouch. Talk to us about this, Rita.
Well, I don't think no one wants to talk about the
the
inflation rate. Ashton Singh projected the inflation rate should have been 1.6%. I think he was aiming to get a figure close to that what Winston Jordan would have achieved over a 5-year period.
Right.
Winston was a boss when it comes to dealing with inflation and those things. One particular year,
give Jackie jacket.
Come on, at one particular year, Winston had 0.5%. At one particular time, actual negative inflation rate.
But that's when you gave the economy to people who know, perhaps.
No, but they criticize Winston Jordan, and then what do they bring to the table? What do they actually bring to us? The inflation rate actually went 5.7%. That was the inflation rate that they actually brought. So there you have it, Sherrod. That is what they delivered. I'm not making these numbers up.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, PPP.
You see, and look, Joretta and Sherrod, there is an excuse floating around, COVID. But you made the point so eloquently yesterday that COVID was already there.
Yeah.
And the aim, the purpose of government is to plan and project properly. So to say, oh, COVID, was the reason, it really is not an excuse. The reality is that the PPPC has consistently failed to properly budget. You notice how many supplementals they're coming for?
Well, they're going to be coming for more.
They're going to be coming for more.
I think they had
but not
4
only
last year.
that,
They had 4 financial papers.
there you go.
Yeah.
But not only that, what you find is that at the end of the year, when you look at the budget that was presented and approved in the National Assembly, and what it looks like at the end of the year, the
Yes.
profiles, it's substantially different. So it means that they're doing, for simple terms, a lot of jiggery pogery, and they are coming for more money, and they will come for more money for sugar, etc. I stood up and I heard, I was sitting in Parliament and I heard Parak say that there is an increase for public servants. We suspect it's 61-41.
Yet again.
So,
Yet again.
But Parag have no say in what that number is going to be. Let's not pretend
item
that
61, line item 6141, like nothing for the public servants. And like I said, I wonder how these ministers go into their offices every day and look at these people, like these public servants. Some of them have to borrow money to get to work. Some of them have to, scrape and scrimp to go to work to keep their work, and then the government does not even have the respect to say we will give public servants a 10% increase. And we know the budget got space for it, man.
We do.
know.
Sharon, we're on the show, and some of these viewers, you're all in a time and place,
You're
Some of these
checking us.
viewers in a time and place,
Checking us,
I'm
checking
reading,
us.
my phone is like ringing here, so I'm vibrate, and then I'm checking when I can't take the ring anymore, I'm checking my messages and say, and they said it's flood too,
And
they
the
try
flood.
to blame
Guys,
it on
people
the
sharp.
flood.
We're sharp.
Alright.
We're in touch.
But on that note, they did say that they tried to attribute a lot of the losses that they had in sugar to the flood, right? They say that, and you would remember the slide that was just up that had in previous years you had the 87,000 tons being produced, and then in 2021 now you had it go down to 58,000 tons. So now they said, oh, it's a flood. It's a flood. That's what caused that drastic reduction, right? If you are to calculate what they said they lost, the hectares of that they said, it was 4,300, right? If you were to actually subtract that,
See where you're going with
right?
this.
If you were to actually subtract that loss that they had because of the flood from that 87, if you were to take it from the 87, it's not reaching to that level,
It still should
right?
not
You
be that
still
low.
you have still failed to reach to even accomplish that 87,000 ton production, right? But I want persons to note even further, it was blamed on the flood. But yet, in the very same budget, the projection is 65 or 66,000 tons, right? 65 or 66,000 tons. I'm saying this to say that the 2020 figure is 87,875 tons, right? Well, Sherry is not getting into this numbers game this morning. I'm pretty sure of those numbers. The 2020 figure is 58,000 and 25,000 tons. And now they're saying that they're projecting for this year, 2022, at the end of 2022, the Minister of Finance projected that their production for sugar is going to be 65,000 tons. That's what Ashley Singh is saying. So what is he?
And they're bringing back sugar.
Is he forecasting a grand flood for this year?
But speaking of flood,
I think he's close.
You see far.
He may be sending some people home because you know what is the irony of this matter? Man, so follow me. I want you guys to follow me on this, right? You know what's the irony of this? The Minister of Agriculture, when Ashley is saying that he is projecting sugar to decrease the production to the 65,000 tons, the Minister of Agriculture is coming and saying that he's going to be providing tens of thousands of jobs. But I'm not sure what they're going to be doing. Because if you're providing tens of thousands of jobs, what are you going to be doing? Because your production is going to be 65,000 tons. So, they're not coherent with what they're saying.
But that shows that there is no across the board planning. They're throwing things and they hope that it sticks.
Yeah.
There's no coherence.
Yes.
The Minister of Agriculture says one thing, Ashley Singh says something else, and The boys going along
Because there's no
merrily.
central planning.
There's no central planning.
Every man to
Every
himself.
man doing what is right in his own sight.
Yeah.
They may have
You know,
central
that-
planning,
that-
but I think that
But
they
it
don't
might
have.
be in a
I don't
person
think
and not the place. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That being said, we have a comment we want to share with you guys from the esteemed former Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan. He
Oh,
says,
beautiful.
"Good morning, FYI."
Good morning,
FYI panel.
Good morning,
He says,
Winston. Good morning.
great program. Thanks for the shout out, Jurita. You know
You're
you're
welcome,
able
sir.
when you can call me full mouth. Thanks very much, guys. You know you're able. Respect and manners, Winston Jordan. Respect and manners.
You know, you say these
Yeah,
things
yeah.
here, but now when Winston comes, I'm like, oh my God.
Respect and manners. I'm sure there's an open invitation for you to join us.
Absolutely.
Open invitation for you to join
Absolutely.
us here.
But guys, there's an important point Doretta made about the flooding. And it was something that I raised in the presentation. The floods are happening.
Yes.
We know that there's climate change, it's happening. We know what the IPCC has said, that by 2030, Guyana, Georgetown is one of those cities that will be underwater. But yet we find that all of the projects being planned, whether it's for agriculture, for infrastructure, are on the coastal plain. There is no planning, as it were, for moving to higher ground. But what you are seeing is that they, through the Lands and Surveys Commission, they have begun farming out lands, lands on higher ground to their friends and cronies. So that when Guyanese are ready and when Guyanese have to move inland, their friends and cronies are the landholders, and they will then sell those lands at some ridiculous prices. Guyanese have to be aware of this. So they are spending money here to distract while they're planning here, but they're planning here with their elite friends and family.
Yeah.
So that the poor and the ordinary working class Guyanese being asked to down here and swim.
But you know, I
whenever
want
it
to.
happens.
We see
I
y'all.
want to add to
It
that.
is an
You know,
We
important
see
point
y'all.
to be made.
I want to add to that because when it comes to making an excuse of flood, I think persons need to get this point over very well. Two excuses are being made. One excuse is COVID-19, which we basically say that that's not an excuse at all. You plan, you projected with COVID-19 already happening. The second excuse is the flooding. Now, I want persons to understand something, right? It will be an admittance by this administration. They will be admitting blatantly, barefacedly, coming to you and say, well, we don't know how to project. We don't know how to include these variables when we are projecting. We just pull numbers out of the sky. If they want to hold on to those arguments, because climate change is something I dare say they profess to be the experts in.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
profess
Yes,
that they
yes.
are the expert. They profess that they know these things. When it comes to weather, well, you know, it's not just one time you wake up and in the middle of a particular month and rain is falling. We have weather
For
part.
them.
We have weather part. These
And then they blame
persons,
the pump attendant.
these persons profess to be the expert when it comes to climate change. So flood is no excuse. If you were saying that the floods happen and you weren't prepared, it's basically you saying that you're not the expert on climate change and you failed to take flooding and rainfall and so into consideration. If you were saying that you blame COVID-19 for these failures, it's you admitting that you have failed to regulate and monitor COVID-19 situation properly. That's what it
But I
is.
can hear somebody on the side, but how they gonna know whether the rain gonna fall? This is what planning and budgeting is about. You plan with contingencies and
There's a whole
variables.
science around this stuff called
They got the science around
These
meteorology.
people don't like
Yeah,
studies.
yeah,
I think you
yeah.
make this point
They-
very
they-
often.
They
They don't
have
like
an
studies.
aversion to anything planning, anything to do with studies, except the LCDS. And I keep making the point that they have reverted Guyana to this LCDS, which, when compared to the Green State Development Strategy, is like one produced by a Form 3 child, the other one, the Green State Development Strategy, produced by a fifth form child. And now, because you petulant,
Yep.
you're gonna come and put me back to the Form 3. That's the best way that I can explain it. You know, why not do Guyanese the justice of taking whatever is good from whichever side and let's build this country? Now, what's wrong with that?
If persons are to actually look at the LCDS, right? And I can speak to this matter very well. I did economics at UT. I had to do
right.
environmental economics, in which I got an A. So yeah, I could say
You understand?
Yeah.
I could talk a
You're
few
big, but you don't think.
I could talk a few things, right? And when it comes to, I remember that particular course for one thing because I had to do we had to do this calculation in our final paper for the extraction part of gold, and I swear I had to do a 4-page for one sum, and I said, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. Nevertheless, the point that I want to make is when you look at the LCDS, when you actually examine that document, look at it page for page, and then you go to the Green State Development Strategy, you would notice that the LCDS it's basically juvenile to the Green State Development Strategy.
Ouch.
It was moving forward. You went ahead, the APNU AFC administration went ahead with a documentation that was so well wrong and so intact. Taking into consideration all the changes that the world has been going through, all the new policy developments, and so that we have been experiencing, not just in Guyana but around the world. So the LCDS, yes, it was there, and I dare say that the LCDS was strengthened and built on, and it's at a state of maturity in the form of the Green State Development Strategy.
That is what they do not want to admit.
They don't want to.
Operate as if the GSDS completely ignored their LCDS,
and that is a lie.
And that is a complete lie.
It's a lie.
It actually built on it.
Yes.
And it actually solidified it into a far more
superior document. That is
far
what it is.
Superior document.
Sure, you're not
Them
saying
girls
anything.
bright.
Sure is not saying anything.
We got some lights in the studio, but these guys brighter than these lights. We turn them off, and this studio will be lit. It will be lit. But this is the kind of analysis of the budget we don't even hear on their sides in their presentation. It's all about SOPs. I'm certain you got some SOPs comment on this string here.
Yes.
On the comment. We are SOPs. Once they start losing the intellectual battle, we are SOPs. That is the default mode.
Yes.
Right? When we were in that protracted period for 5 months, where had we...
Sharon, stick a pin. It detests me. I detest hearing. It upsets me when I hear people talk about 5 months protraction. I remind people that Barrett Jagdeo agreed to a recount.
Yes.
So how do I then sign my name, agree to something, and then say you hold me hostage?
Yeah. That's how they are. That's how
it is
our friends on the other side are.
It is nonsensical. So stop this foolishness about 5 months or whatever. This was a process that their was at the time opposition leader agreed to. Yeah. So you see that approbate and reprobate, they always do this foolishness. Same thing Arnold is doing in the House. Dale does the same thing. They agree to one thing and then say something else.
Then they come and rush
it. You can't trust them.
Amanda, I now seek you leave counsel to take out the pen.
Yes. Take out the pen. Yeah. Take it out. I made my point. The point is made.
Folks, I'm so happy you would have pulled up a chair with us and joined this discussion this morning. And we invite you to do so every morning.
Yes.
Every morning. We love spending this time with you guys, talking to you about these varied issues. Man, you missed out a lot of stuff. We spoke about Darren Wade, Council Darren Wade, winning a case recently in the High Court against the Attorney General.
Proud of Darren.
Yep.
Yeah. And he doesn't win anything.
Even nothing yet since he became AG.
Yeah,
right?
I remind him today.
I know where I know where Sharon is going. Amanda, I dare say. Let me tell you something.
I think your mic hot. I think your mic is hot. I think the people out there heard you. I'm trying to remember the literature, what they call it. What is the literature?
That was intentional. So now that we know, now that we all know the secret,
I will not be predictable.
No, sir, say it.
I will not be predictable. No comments. It's the seat.
You see?
It's the seat. I think Alan knows a thing or two. I give him that. He might know everything, right? Because he had to get back the law books and so on. You know a couple of things. But I think this AG seat, I think it's something.
I think Darren is such a hardworking.
Yeah, he is.
He has the heart.
Yes.
Darren is.
I think he's our Martin Luther King had a lawyer by the name of Clarence. Can't remember his last name, but Darren certainly reminds me of it with his passion for the people. I think he loves people, and it really does show through in what he does. So we really pray that God would bless him and
Protect him.
protect him
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
yeah.
And even though we don't have a time to give a synopsis of all the stuff we covered, we talked about the Mahaica Creek, the Mahaica Bridge accident yesterday, the mud water, muddy situation currently, and we talked about GK Lal's saying that the Christopher Ram budget focus has become an institution,
Yeah.
and I believe so.
Yes,
32
yes,
years,
32 years,
analyzing
32 years.
budgets in this country, and now it's being kind of few people really and truly discredit that kind of analysis.
I generally would
No.
encourage guys
Yep.
to pick it up and read it.
I think the government that actually prepares this budget, I think it is necessary. It's an absolute necessity for them to take into consideration the criticism that comes from J. From
Christopher Ram.
Christopher Ram,
And the Ram
it's very insightful. Any government that is actually concerned about getting there, to actually concerned about getting the most out of the people's money and how they direct it, would take these experts into consideration. Where and instead of coming out and trying to say, well, they don't know what they're saying, because that's the easiest thing. The easiest thing to say, many times we would present in the National Assembly, we'll go and hold a position, and many times you will see some persons out there saying, who is she? What's she doing? She know what she's saying. But then if you were to ask that person, what particularly is the point that I made that you disagree with? They're mute, right? Because it's easy to go and say someone don't know what they're saying. It's easy to go and criticize a personality, you probably critique how someone looks and their manner of speech. But when it comes to the cold hard facts and the numbers, then everybody back off. They're not prepared to deal with that segment of the conversation.
Or they begin to engage in personal attacks.
Yes.
And call your names because they don't have a
Right, man, inside there, sir, skin
Yeah,
take.
yeah. This
skin
crew.
take.
Come better. Come better.
We waited.
That being said, folks, we are tremendously happy that you guys would have woken up so early with us. And we've spent this time together. We trust you'd have a good breakfast, or if you're still having something for breakfast, that you enjoy that, and may it be good to you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I think we have to get a bigger
Yeah,
teacup for
yes.
Amanda.
Yeah,
This was unfair.
I am a 6 foot tall woman. This ain't good.
It's a shot of tea.
I think we have
It's
to
a shot
switch
of
this.
That's a shot of tea.
Spotted and shot. Folks, thanks for joining us. We're going to see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. But Below the Bell comes up at 12, and then we're back at 8 in the ring. See you guys. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
Stay safe.